Hello everyone, this is Dayhawk, and I wanted to make this video because as you know, Super Sentai is over after 50 years. And the ironic thing is that this channel was supposed to be not just Kamen Rider, but also Super Sentai. And the reason why I didn't do any, Super Sentai reviews and recaps and all is because I felt that I was gonna be overwhelmed, and now with work, being how it is, I just didn't want to, feel overwhelmed. So I figure, you know what? Just base my channel on Kamen Rider, since I'm more of a fan of Kamen Rider than I am Super Sentai. I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of it at all. I'm just more of a passive fan. And I just feel compelled to make this video because regardless of how I'm a passive fan of Sentai, I do enjoy it. And I figured I want to tell you guys my origin story of how I got into Sentai and leading up to my top 5, not favorites, but, what I consider that I like and what I consider to be bad Sentai. And maybe lead up to, Gozyuger and what my thoughts and opinions were as a whole, as the season to the last episode. And to tell you what I think about, Gozyuger is that it's not the number one Sentai. I will leave it at that once I go into, Gozyuger and all that. Is it going to be a short video? Probably not, because you know how I ramble. And I always go by, talking to you guys. I don't have a script, except the only thing I have is a sticky note of what I wrote, of what I like about, Sentai in terms of, okay, what are my favorite Sentais that I'm willing to rewatch versus, the worst. And it's just the top 5. Nothing like top 10 or 15, because this is going to be a long video. And, I don't want to make it long as it should, but you never know with me, right? So my origin story of Sentai is, if you hear noise outside, I do apologize. My neighbors are cutting grass, so I do apologize if you hear that. So my origin story, you could say Power Rangers. It was Power Rangers that led me into Sentai. Yes and no. Yes, in terms of I was told that Power Rangers came from Japan. And when I heard about that, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. What led me to Sentai was YouTube. And YouTube at that time was owned by somebody else, the creators of YouTube, before, it got sold to Google. And I considered YouTube at the time the golden age of YouTube, due to the fact that you could upload videos with copyrighted material, music. You could upload TV shows and movies without fear of getting copyrighted struck. Unlike now, where pretty much you get copyrighted by almost anything at this point. But back then, people, got introduced to YouTube, and people were watching TV and movies and all that stuff. And then, for me, how I encountered Sentai on YouTube was clips of Zyuranger, which is the counterpart of Mighty Morphin. And I haven't seen the whole season of Zyuranger. However, from the clips that I saw, I was like, this is what Power Rangers came from? because you had, a villain hating children, trying to kill children, to fighting the devil, Dai Satan. And I'm like, how come we never have this here in the States? Then I realized I kind of answered my own question. It's due to the fact that all cultures are completely different. If Saban were to willingly copy everything that Zoolanger did onto the States, I get the feeling that he's going to get a lot of angry letters, angry phone calls from angry housewives, be like, how dare you, have this as a kid's show. You scared my children, blah, 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 blah. Case in point, what happened with Lord Zed. It's infamous at this point. Because Lord Zed, he was a scary bastard. But then somewhere down the line in the middle of the second season of Mighty Morphin, he was downgraded. He got married with Rita, and then Zed just became not Zed. He became less evil. He's like goofy evil. And Rita and Zed were more like the Ricky Ricardo and Lucy from I Love Lucy. Sure, they committed evil things, of course, but it's hard to take them both seriously. At least with Lord Zed, before he got married, he was taken seriously. But ever since the angry phone calls, angry letters from angry moms, it changed. So I kind of answered my own question. But it's funny how mothers complain about Lord Zed being all scary when you have TV shows or cartoons like Spider-Man the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, where they can move up the bar and see, okay, what kind of line can we cross without fearing the angry mothers on the other side of the phone call. And as I was watching, the animated series of Batman, Spider-Man, and all that, I felt like I was watching an adult show. And I never felt scared or anything like that. It just felt cool. And with Sentai, I felt the same way when I was a kid, just watching like a TV show, even though if it was made for kids, I was watching, I'm watching the big people show. I don't feel like I'm being talked down to. Compared to Power Rangers now, it's just their target audience is for little kids. And every time I try to rewatch Power Rangers, especially the Neo Saban, Hasbro, I just felt like I was talked down to multiple times, to the point where this is not for me anymore. At least in the old Saban, even Disney periods, I felt like I can still watch Power Rangers without feeling like, hey, this is a kid's show. I shouldn't be watching this because it's a kid's show. It's like why am I watching Barney and Friends when I'm in my mid-20s? Or Sesame Street. Why am I watching this? Right? And so with Sentai, even in Kamen Rider 2, as old as I am, I can still watch Sentai and Kamen Rider without feeling, hey, this is I know it's a kid's show, but I feel like it's I can feel hey, I can watch it too without feeling that, hey, it's, I'm not being talked down to, and it's made for kids, even though it doesn't feel like it made for kids. And watching Sentai from Zoolanger, I was like, these Rangers can get seriously hurt to the point of death. And it's something that Power Rangers never, it never like crossed that line in terms of heroes can get seriously hurt to even talking about death. Zoo Ranger was the second Sentai because from what I heard with the Sentai before, I forgot what it was, but it was Black Condor that died and he never came back. And then with Zoo Ranger, the same thing. A Sentai Ranger or a Power Ranger like the Dragon Ranger, he passed away and he didn't came back. He came back as a ghost to help his fellow Zoo Rangers in the very end, but he never really came back. Kamen Rider has this issue of killing characters off and bring them back and just diminishes their sacrifices. It's just cliche at this point. It's treated like a soap opera because soap operas, they kill off characters, they bring them back, and they have a weird, crazy explanation as to how they survived or whatever, right? And it's just the explanations is all crazy. But with Sentai, I felt like, wow, like, you know, heroes can get seriously hurt. They can even die. And there's moments in Sentai too that you see our heroes getting drunk. And there's a scene of Die Ranger that the White Ranger, who is a kid, abuses his power by like, you know, he just controlled the winds or whatever. Or no, wait, he was on his skateboard and he ends up, you know, lifting little girls' skirts. Like, that's something that Power Rangers would never do. Will never do. And that's the issues that I have with Power Rangers because, you know, it's just so cheesy. It's just so, like, it's almost like PBS style of television with Power Rangers. And because of that, if you were to talk about Power Rangers in the States, they look down upon it. And they always respond with, oh, isn't that a kid's show? And, you know, Power Rangers, unfortunately, will never be taken seriously compared to Sentai. And it's just sad. Because growing up with Rangers, it just felt that, you know, there's many problems. But the main problem is that they keep falling... Like, they keep relying on Mighty Morphin so much. And that's what kills, you know, Power Rangers. Like, I understand that Mighty Morphin is the first season and it just took off. But, you know, I wish they do not follow the same old formula. Oh, we need to follow Mighty Morphin's formula in order for our season to succeed. Which, no. I mean, it's stupid. But unfortunately, you know, the companies who own Power Rangers assume that we need to fall back on Mighty Morphin always and forever. And the main reason is because that's where the money is, unfortunately. Mighty Morphin gets the most money, bang for their buck, versus of seasons that came after it. Like, if you were to put Mighty Morphin and let's say Time Force, Dino Charge, and maybe add another, let's say Lightspeed. Who do you think the audience will pay more if there were toy lines? Mighty Morphin, Lightspeed. Which one do you think the people will go to? I think many people will go to Mighty Morphin no matter what. So unless that changes, I don't see it happening at all. But I don't know how we ended up talking about Power Rangers stuff, but, well, I know. But, you know, this is the part when I tend to ramble. And this is no script, so I'm talking from my head, my heart, everything, which I think you guys appreciate more. At least you hear the real me and not reading from a piece of paper that I wrote. So yeah. Any case, so Sentai really like made me think like, wow, this is a kids show, and yet you see these villains trying to kill children to God knows what else, and then it's so insane. And to see it go, I mean, I could talk about what led to the downfall of Sentai. It's many factors, guys. When I was reading online about who is responsible for the death of Sentai, many people are already pointing fingers at Hasbro mostly. But the thing is, like I said, it's multiple reasons why it led to its downfall. Multiple reasons. But it's not anybody's fault, but it's just I knew in my heart that yeah, this franchise is not gonna last forever. I mean, nothing ever does, but it's just I had a gut feeling that I think I'm seeing the last seasons of Sentai, because it's something in my gut telling me that yeah, it's not gonna last long. So like I said, it could be Hasbro's fault, it could be Toei's fault, it could be the ratings, it could be the toy sales. It could be anything, but to be honest to you guys, it's many different factors here. Many different factors. And so, like, I'm a passive fan of Sentai. I started, you could say I kind of started with Zyuranger. I haven't seen the entire season of it. Sure, I've seen an episode here and there, but the entirety, no. And leading up to, my top 5, the top worst, I think I officially started watching Sentai in its entire season. It's either, my gut is telling me I started with Geki Ranger, but I don't know. I'm not sure. It's between Geki and Abade Ranger, but something tells me it's Geki first. If I were to show you the entire list of Sentai and just pick and choose what I've seen, there's a lot of skipping seasons. It's a lot. And of course, I haven't seen the first one and prior and after because I was not born at that time. And I don't think there is, their seasons online prior to Zyuranger. I think there's a season before that with the Black Condor, but any seasons before that, I don't think there is. I mean, Toku Shouts did a great job in, making DVDs for Sentai, but it's just, I don't understand why they're not making any more DVDs. It's just, I don't understand. Is it because physical copies are not, they're not a thing anymore? But people like to collect physical media, and I wish Toku Shouts, even though they have, Sentai on YouTube, some of the Sentai, not all of them, I still wish they could have started, producing more DVD sets. And that's when they're doing a terrible job. I mean, come on, guys, we want more DVD sets, but maybe the sales are reflecting that not many people are interested in buying sets. So that's could be one of the reasons why they're not doing it anymore. Or just do it off and on. But in any case, I would like to say, my top 5 favorites to not so favorites. So my top 5 of what I consider to be the best Sentai, my opinion, just mine, Abade Ranger, Geki Ranger, Hurricane Ranger, Shikanger, and for the last one, you could say Dayhawk, but there are 2 separate seasons. You're right. But you have to agree with me here that Zenkaiger and Dome Brothers, they're like a whole, like they're together. They're like season 1 and season 2. They're like a continuation. And 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 you're shocked. I'd be like, what? You consider Zenkaiger to be, one of the best? This, again, it's just my opinion. It it made me laugh. Those rangers, those robots, they made me laugh so hard. And then when Dome Brothers came in, they just said, hold my beer. You want Goofy? I'll give you more Goofy. There's top 10, but I don't want to make this video long as it should be. In terms of the worst, Gozyuger, yeah, Lupin versus Pato, Ninja, Gozyuger, and Q Ranger. Those seasons I just don't like whatsoever. I have my reasons. If you want to hear my reasons of my top 5, my top 5 of the best and the worst, just write in the comments below if you're interested of why, I picked those to be the best and the worst. Because if I do it here, again, it's going to be a long video. Since this show is all about my origin story, about how I got introduced to Sentai, and just saying my goodbyes, my respects to Sentai, because, I watch not just Kamen Rider, but also Sentai growing up. So I just figured this is my way of giving my thanks and giving my respects. I'm not going to say Sentai is canceled completely. It could always come back. But I took it as a grain of salt when the producers of Sentai, Toei, whoever, said that, it's going to be back in 10 years. I'm not saying that they're lying, but I was like, no, I don't think it's going to be coming back in 10 years. So, and I want to say this about, the return of Metal Heroes and Project Red. Toei right now is biting their nails right now because they just canceled Sentai. If Project Red ends up being a failure, then Toei has a massive problem in their hands. You could think that, hey, okay, Project Red failed, maybe we should bring back Sentai. I don't think they're going to do that regardless if Project Red fails, but they really, really need to think about, if Project Red failed in the ratings, Toy sales is not what we expected it to be, what are we going to do to fix it? Again, the first option is bring back Sentai, which I don't think it's going to happen so soon, right? The second would be let it ride out. Maybe the second season of Metal Heroes will turn out better than the first and whatnot. Maybe they will hold on to hope that, hey, that's strike one. We have, how many chances? There's that. They will keep Project Red or Metal Heroes in general, for 5 to 10 years, let's say. Or they're like, okay, Sentai's gone. We're not going to bring it back. Project Red sucked. We're going to take it off. Either they make a new franchise to replace that spot, or they're not going to fill it at all. So yeah, Toei is really hoping and praying that this new project, the return of Metal Heroes, really turn into a success. Because if it's not a success, boy, oh boy, it's talking about landing yourself in no man's land if it were to happen. So yeah, yeah, Toei better hope and pray that this turns out really good. That's all I'm gonna say. So going to Gozyuger, the last season of Sentai, as a whole, it as an anniversary show, Gozyuger is considered to be one of the best anniversary shows ever, due to the fact that it's well written, well casted, everything about it was close to perfection, maybe even perfect. Gozyuger, best anniversary show ever. Gozyuger is the opposite of that. With or without Maya in there, it's still considered to be one of the worst seasons to end with, because the pilot showed a lot of promise with Taya's actor returning, and it just opened the door to the possibility of seeing old actors return and get their Sentai rings and become, a different Sentai than what they did in the past. And what I hoped for the most, guys, that Toei really failed. They really passed it up. And it would have caused an uproar in the internet space because, like I said, I'm a fan of Sentai, but I'm also a fan of Kamen Rider. And Gozyuger and Kamen Rider Decade, okay? I thought that the actor who played Decade would come into Gozyuger and use the Gokai Red ring. Can you imagine the uproar of fans being like, oh my god, the actor who played Decade is using the Gokai ring and transforms into Gokai Red? Can you imagine the uproar that would have happened if Toei would have allowed it? Ugh! I was like, God damn it. Oh, you missed that, Toei. I'm so pissed off at you for other reasons as well. But this one, oh, you really effed up here. You really did. And the actor, I'm sure he would have said, yeah, I will do it. I will squeeze it into my schedule somehow. I want to do this. For an episode or two using that ring, I would do it. I could sense that the actor would have done it. But no, it's just, I was so pissed off. And then with Taya's actor not showing up in the later parts of the season, really just because they set it up in the pilot that, hey, once the majority of the rings got collected, then the final boss, quote unquote, would be fake Taya, and the winner will keep the King Ultra ring, right? But they didn't do it. The excuse is, oh, he wasn't available or time constraint. I'm like, no, excuses. Yeah, I mean, with or without Maya, it just sucked. It really did. And I stopped when Maya got fired. And I know I'm super late, but what I'm going to say, is about, Maya leaving and all that. Both Toei and the agency really handled the situation most horribly. If they could have handled it differently, then I believe Maya would have stayed. I'm not saying Oni's sister did bad. She did great. Kudos to her. She has a natural talent. I hope she has more gigs. But it's just introducing her after close to finishing the season. It's just so bad. And then the episode that was infamous of how horrible it was done. It's just I knew from the get-go that this is going to turn out bad. I'm not blaming the producers or the actors or anything like that. I'm just saying that Toei and the agency that Maya was in, they handled it so poorly. The girl didn't deserve to be treated that way because they acted as if she murdered somebody after what, drinking underage. Like, they could have handled it super differently, and I think she would have been a part of doing the rest of the episodes without, I think she would have been like, do an apology, pay a fine, and don't ever do it again. But it's a different culture over there. And I'm sure Toei may have wanted to keep Maya, but it would have been a can of worms, and then dealing with parents, and yeah, it would have been a mess, but it's still a mess. It's still a mess. And then leading up to the finale, it's just green screen, and and you see the boys all hammeredless, while you have, Gozyuger with her helmet on, and it's just so bad. The finale was written bad. I mean, Horo wishing for a do-over, like, you could have wished for your friends back and that's it. But he just decided, hey, I just want the ring war. I want to have a do-over. I want to win fair and square, because he felt like he won, like, by default. He won by default. And then, so he decided to do a do-over. He comes back, and then his wish was hot dogs. Hot dogs. Like, you could have wished, like, hey, can I be rich so I can pay off my debt and not have to work ever again? I would have accepted that and be like, hey, at least our wolf is debtless. His debt is paid off. He no longer needs to work now that he is a billionaire. He is free. But no, he ends up wishing for hot dogs, and Sumiko. Wait, yeah. Zamina, I think that's her name, or I'm gonna call her Oni Sister because that's the only thing I can remember. Oni Sister's not even there in the final scene where Horo comes in with a plate full of hot dogs, and all the boys are getting the hot dogs, and you see the mom and the kid, and they're having, their thing, and Oni's sister is nowhere to be found. Oh, she is traveling with her sister. That's why she's not there. What the hell? And talk about leaving, like, the last episode, the last season of Sentai, you would think that Toei would tell, the producers of the show and be like, hey, it's the last season, go all out. Push the bar, go out in the blaze of glory, make this season memorable. It was memorable for the wrong reasons. Okay? And you have Power Rangers in Space, which, I read and heard from interviews that supposedly Power Rangers in Space was supposed to be the last season of Power Rangers because Fox was considering of canceling it. And Power Rangers in Space really went out. It was dark, and Countdown to Destruction is the most talked about in terms of finales. To this day, people cannot stop talking about how great Countdown to Destruction was. And here, it was not in Gozyuger. It wasn't Countdown to Destruction. It was Countdown to Cacas, Countdown to the Toilet. I'm not blaming the actors. I'm not blaming people who work on the set, anything like that. I think the blame really comes down to the people behind the project, like companies like Toei, and of course you can blame Maya's talent agency too, because again, Toei and the agency handled the situation most poorly. But like I mentioned earlier, regardless if Maya was still part of the cast or not, Gozyuger is not the number one Sentai at all. It didn't felt like an anniversary show at all. It's just all these number one battles, and I just I mean, it was bad. The first episode, the pilot, showed a lot of promise that, hey, this could be, since it's the last season, they're going to go all out. It's going to be like Gokaiger-ish, but it wasn't at all. It wasn't. And a lot of people online share the same sentiments as I do. It's one of the worst final episodes ever. This season, the last season, is bad. You could have just ended with Borunder. I can't pronounce it. The Tire People, and just ended it there. It just ended it there. Yeah. As a whole, Gozyuger is bad, and the finale is kakaz. Not as bad as episode 47, I believe, with the Polar Ranger losing his coat, his jacket, and how horribly edited the episode was. It was bad. It was bad. And it's just, this is tragic, guys, because, it's the last season of Sentai, and it got stained. Talking about going down the toilet, when it's supposed to be, let's take Sentai, let's take this last ride with Sentai, and let's go off in the blaze of glory. But instead of going on a blaze of glory, going out as a blaze of glory, it just went down in the sewers. Again, scandals aside, the writing was poor. It showed a lot of promise, but the execution went bad. And that, my friends, is just my opinions of the last season of Sentai, and of course the last episode. And just overall, it's just not the best anniversary show to end 50 years of Sentai. And like I said before, they say that it's coming back in 10 years. Just take it as a grain of salt. It all depends how well Metal Heroes do, okay? If after 10 years Metal Heroes is still a thing, Toei will not bat an eye about, bringing back Sentai. I could be wrong, but it all depends how successful Metal Heroes is starting next Sunday. Because the first episode, almost every single time the first episode shows a lot of promise. It's an excellent episode to start with, thinking that, hey, the first episode is great. Maybe the next couple of episodes leading up to the finale is going to be great. But look what happened with Gozyuger. We had an excellent first episode, and look what happened after. Yeah, Toei is really, really nervous right now. Because if it fails, what are they going to do? Right? It's something to think about. But I believe that Metal Heroes will be successful. I'm not praying for its downfall. I'm not. And if you were to ask me, hey, Dayhawk, are you considering watching Metal Heroes? I was never interested in Metal Heroes to begin with. I'm curious. That's for sure. I'm curious, but if I were to watch the first episode next Sunday, well, this coming Sunday, I don't know. It really depends. Should I watch? I will end up watching it out of curiosity. But if I don't like it, I probably you know what? I tried after the first episode. Metal Heroes is not my thing. So, I mean, good luck to you guys. I hope that the project is a major success, because if not, then like I said, Toei is biting their nails because I hope they have like a plan B in case Metal Hero, Project Red fails. So I wouldn't be Toei right now. But if it becomes successful, then kudos to them. Right. So yeah, I hope I got my bullet points in. To this, I want to say this. I want to say thank you to Sentai for entertaining me for so many years up to this point. This is not a goodbye. This is more of a see you later type of thing, because I get the feeling that it will return, but not anytime soon. And unfortunately, I don't want to end this as a doom and gloom type of thing, but I don't think I'm going to be alive by the time Sentai makes its triumphant return. I just don't I don't see it happening. But, I hope it comes back. And I've seen a lot of Sentai actors giving their tributes and just writing down, their time working on sets, and it's nice to see that, because at least it tells you, like, you know what, I love being on set doing Sentai, and I had the most fun there. I made friends there, and it's so cool to see actors post stuff and giving their respects and tributes to Sentai. It's so cool to see that. And like I said, I want to say thank you to Sentai for entertaining me for all these years. This is not a goodbye, more of a see you later. So yeah, I mean, the era of Sentai is over for now. The time has come for Metal Heroes, for the dominion of Metal Heroes. Yeah, I'm semi coding Galadriel in Lord of the Rings and Return of the King, when she said that the power of the three rings has ended. The time has come for the dominion of men. So I'm like, the era of Sentai is over. The time has come for the dominion of Metal Heroes. And yeah, I thought it was cool. Yeah, I hope I said everything that needed to be said. Like I said, the only thing I have is like a sticky note of what I wrote, of what I consider to be the best to the worst. And the rest, it's all in my head and my heart. No script, no nothing. Just, me talking to you about my origins, to my love of Sentai, me being a passive fan, and just saying my goodbyes. Let me rephrase that. Saying my see you laters to Sentai. And yeah, give me a like if you like it, and please subscribe, and write in the comments below, like, what got you into Sentai in the first place? What are your top 5 of your favorite and your worst Sentais? And if you want my reasons behind, my top 5 of the best and the worst, feel free to write in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer. And yeah, thank you so much, Sentai. And this is not a goodbye, but more of a Johnny. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sentai. Thank you, Sentai. Thank you, Sentai.